Alright, welcome back everyone. I figure I'd go in a little more detail about what I'm actually doing here in case somebody wants to follow along, try and do something custom to their vehicle. Maybe they want a different tire. And it doesn't necessarily have to be for WL Toys. Maybe you just want a tire with a 14mm hex and your axle shaft stub is too small. What I did is I took this 14mm hex and then I filled it with lead. I figured that was the best way that I could do this in case I messed up. If I didn't get center, I could just heat it up and fill it with more lead and re-drill the hole again, right? I'd do it as many times as necessary. If I tried to fill it with plastic, it'd be a pain in the ass to try and get out and fix and redo. So lead was the best option. I simply used just a very thick solder, and this stuff doesn't flow very well despite how much heat is in there. It does flow, but not as good as I expected it to when I was doing a pipe repair a long time ago. So I'm basically using it as a gap filler here. Ideally, I'd use that piece of stainless steel right there. I'd drill out the center opening to match the shaft outside diameter to that, right? So I drill out the inside of there to match that outside of the shaft, and then that would act as a sleeve. I put a small slice across it where the pin would go. This particular piece of stainless steel, before I filled it up with lead, fits in there perfectly, right? It fit in there perfectly. No modifications or anything. It fit in there perfectly. The problem with stainless steel, if you've ever drilled it before, it is an absolute pain in the ass to drill it out. Especially something so small when you got no way to stop it from moving. In other words, spinning around. I have a drill press, but it's slow, and then if that drill bit grabs it just right, that thing will start spinning around. So I got no way to secure this particular piece, so that's what stopped me from using stainless steel, although that would be my ideal choice right there. So now I'm using lead. I figured I could do this one multiple times, as many times as I needed. If I messed up, if I didn't get the hole exactly straight, and it doesn't look like it's straight on that side, but on the back side it does look pretty good. Maybe hard to discern that on camera, but there it is. Okay, so the big reason why a lot of you guys like me probably went to a 12mm hex on your WL Toys and you experienced wheel lockup. The big reason that is, well, let's take it back out of foot a little bit. It's too close evidently. Is this ring right here, this inside ring actually locks up against the outside of the bearing, which is the non-rotational part, right? So that's why your wheel locks up. That's why you have some issues. And I think a couple, 3 or 4 years ago, I came up with a solution to fix that. Here is the original WL Toys wheel hex. This is an 8mm. It may be hard to see. Yeah, it's probably going to be real hard to see. Let's see if I can do something about that. Let's see if I can zoom in from back here. Okay, so you can kind of see like a dark ring right there. That's actually a shadow line, but that opening is a lot smaller. That rides on the rotating part of the bearing. That's why the 8mm hex works so well. Now, if you have a 3D printer at home, I would recommend simply keeping the 8mm hex. If you're going on a 12mm hex, just simply make it so this 8mm can drop inside. If you're doing 14mm, I'd do the same thing. I'd simply make it so that 8mm can drop inside, and it should be good enough. Now with this Arma hex though, you get one added extra benefit, whereas you get a grub screw hole right there, and the grub screws are set in place because I didn't want the lead to fall out of the hole. So there is a grub screw right there. It should push up against the lead and tighten up against the shaft. So this is what basically you end up looking like as of right now. And then let's throw a tire on there. I'm sorry, I'm not very good at filming stuff live. It is my weakness. It's like my kryptonite or something. So this is our Formula 1 tire with an F1 hex. I'll turn the camera a little bit better. And the secondary issue that we have now is because this hex area is so deep, we actually run into the bearing or the hub, whatever you want to call it. I'm drawing a blank on the name right now. But anyway, so we're not quite there yet. So I need to cut the plastic down. And the other issue is, as you can tell, it's a little bit sloppy. So I got these hex, or not, excuse me, not hex. I got these standoffs. I forget what size they are, but anyway, they thread directly onto the M3, I would guess, probably an M3. That fits on there. And then that helps reduce some of the play. Not quite enough yet. And then we apply some heat shrink, or this one's pre-formed, already shrunk to it. And that fits the wheel opening quite a bit better. Again, minimizing the amount of flex, distortion that we might have. The rest of the flex and distortion is going to be here because this hex is actually just a little bit smaller than the wheel opening in there. I'll see if I can demonstrate that a little bit so you guys got a visual idea. It's hard to kind of discern that on camera sometimes. But anyway, there's wiggle room inside here. I don't know how well you guys can see that. That hex is able to move. There's about, I don't know, 1/4 of a millimeter all the way around. So what I found on my, what the hell is it called? Anyway, my Pagani Zonda R, a simple one roll or one time around with painter's tape happens to give a perfect fit. And that's going to eliminate a little bit more slop. Right, so that's where I am today. Now I got to figure out a washer type solution because we got this wheel extension that sticks out. Right, it may be hard to discern that on camera. So we got that. So I got to stick some washers on there and then have the nut press up against the washers, which will lock the wheel in place. Then I got to put a little slice in there for the pin, so this hex adapter doesn't rub up against the bearing. So there's a will, there is a way. It takes a lot of thought, a lot of pre-planning, and I think the lead is actually the best solution because if you don't drill it out in the center, all you gotta do is heat it up and put more lead in there and drill it again until you're satisfied. And sometimes it may be hard to tell if you're exactly center, and you won't know that until you get it all mounted on the car and then put your tires on it and then start spinning it, and then you'll see if the tire spins true or if it spins in some sort of elliptical pattern. So that's where I am today, and I wish you guys good luck if you wish to change hexes. Have a good day. Stop. God damn it, stop.